This is KGW News at noon.
Today, Joey Gibson, the leader of Patriot Prayer, was in court on a felony riot charge. It's because of a brawl that broke out on May Day in Northeast Portland. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brenda Braxton. Christine Pitawanich is covering all the new developments. She joins us live in the newsroom. So, Christine, what happened in court this morning?
Well, Brenda, the arraignment itself was pretty uneventful. Gibson's court date has been moved to August so he can get a lawyer and be a little bit more prepared. But before his arraignment, there was some strong words exchanged between a handful of people, some who support Gibson and others who don't.
Get out of here! Get out of Portland! You are a predator!
That was one response that Joey Gibson got as he showed up for his arraignment this morning. A number of people honked horns and yelled out their windows as well. But Gibson had his own supporters there too. Gibson is facing a felony riot charge related to a fight that broke out on May Day in front of Cider Riot. That's a pub in Northeast Portland. He says that charge is baseless.
So I want people to understand that if you're walking on a sidewalk and you're not breaking the law, you should never go to jail for that, ever. Right? So it's very important for people to understand that. So there's no way I'm going to plead guilty. It's just not going to happen, right?
As we've mentioned, Gibson heads up Patriot Prayer, and in the past, Patriot Prayer and anti-fascists, or Antifa, have gotten into violent fights. While Gibson says his right-wing group out of Vancouver stands for free speech, groups with ties to white nationalism, like the Proud Boys, have been seen at some of Gibson's rallies. Gibson's next court date is scheduled for August 27th. Back to you.
Thanks, Christine. Well, the nation sure watched Portland on Saturday as those dueling right and left-wing protests filled the waterfront. Overall, Mayor Ted Wheeler said police did an exemplary job of de-escalating the situation. Police estimated a crowd of about 1,200 showed up and they arrested 13 people. Most are charged with disorderly conduct, but only 2 of them were taken to jail. One is Alexander Dial. He's facing attempted assault and weapons charges. Now, police haven't been able to confirm the name of the other person, this man who's behind bars. They're simply calling him John Doe. Officers seized weapons during the protest, including knives, shields, lumber, bear spray, and a stun gun. The demonstration also affected downtown businesses. Some owners tell us customers were nowhere to be found, while other retailers didn't even bother opening. Here's Brittany Falkers with the details.
Every weekend, from March to Christmas Eve, you'll find owner of Spoiled Cat, Carla Kaminsky, at the Portland Saturday Market.
Oh, well, my husband and I have been doing this for 20 years.
That includes during Saturday's protests. It started along the waterfront, blocks away, but that was enough to keep customers out of downtown.
Well, it was tense. You could tell that people were uncomfortable because of the things that were going around in the media about staying out of downtown because of the event that was coming.
And that took a bite out of business.
It was really down. It was probably since March, yesterday was our slowest day of the year.
These are small businesses. No one's getting rich here. They're handcrafted artisans. We're a relatively small nonprofit, and several $1,000s hurts us.
Saturday Market Executive Director Howie Bierbaum says the organization lost thousands of dollars in revenue, and about a third of their vendors stayed away. Vendors like Amy Tatala Beck.
I decided to paint on whatever I had laying around, and it turned into a business.
The painter says with all the hype around the protest and safety concerns from police, she decided to stay home.
So all of the waterfront was being restricted, and we decided that we felt safe, but we just knew that business was not going to be good down here.
Not far down Nadeau Parkway, those pink gray line sightseeing tours were back on the road after owner David Beagle canceled routes Saturday over concerns of safety for his employees, the guests, and their vehicles.
When there's a roving protest, you can't run on any kind of schedule, and you can't really run on a consistent route. So it was wisest to shut down. We also were advised by the police department.
At least 4 employees were called off from the job, and Beagle estimates the day was a $5,000 to $6,000 loss. But he's glad he kept his crew and trolleys safe.
The trolleys, it chose not to run, and that was the best decision.
Beagle and the market vendors weren't alone. Businesses like Moonstruck Chocolate on Alder Street, downtown Starbucks, and Nike all shuttered their doors Saturday for what turned out to be a relatively peaceful protest.
It could have turned the other way. I just wish Everything was peaceful and organized and permitted, so it was predictable for everyone involved, including the citizens of Portland.
Brittany Folgers.
This noon, there are a lot of questions about a deadly shooting in Salem yesterday. A 40-year-old woman died and a man was injured. This is video from the scene outside the bar on Pine Street. Police haven't released any information about the man's condition, and they don't have any details about a suspect. This is the 5th shooting in and around Salem this month. There were 4 in the first week of August, resulting in 2 people dead and 3 others injured. We're getting a better look at the damage from this massive industrial fire overnight in Salem. The flames are under control now, and crews are mopping up the hot spots. This drone video shows what the fire looked like early this morning. You can see flames and smoke at Oregon Pallet. That's on Salem Industrial Drive Northeast. The fire was contained mostly to the pallet yard. No one was hurt, but the owner expects $1 million in property loss.
I have a wonderful insurance agent and good insurance. And like I said, no lives, nobody got hurt. I'm just thankful for these firefighters staying on it and being here and supporting us.
Several semi-trucks were destroyed. We don't know yet what caused the fire, but it did start in grass next to the railroad tracks. Right now, we want to talk a little bit of weather and a sunny Monday. That's a pretty view from our Rose City Sky Cam. So, Rod, you're warming things up to start the work week.
And allow me to one-up you, my dear. You showed that nice view from Rose City. Here's the Pacific City camera. Look at that. Once you get above that little cloud deck that's hanging low offshore, boy, it's perfectly blue. A lot of people, it looks like, out enjoying the waters. Brenda mentioned the warm-up, and yes, you know, over the weekend, all the clouds, remember Saturday, they never really broke. We only hit 72. Yesterday afternoon, sun 77. But now we become sunny before lunchtime. We're at 72. We should easily be up into the low 80s at 4 o'clock and then 68 at 8 p.m. So a little bit of a trend of warming days with some sunshine both today and tomorrow. Cannon Beach not as sunny as Pacific City, 65 degrees, though a nice comfortable temperature. Here's the Main Serene Winery down in Dayton. And look at all the blue sky down there. And look at all the blue sky from our live cam right at the Dalles from the Oregon Veterans Home. Already almost 80, by the way. There could be some 90s out across eastern Oregon. Hey, stick with us because coming up, we'll get into Wednesday's rain chance. This is Futurecast at 9 a.m. That is some soaking rain coming right across your neighborhood. We'll talk more about that coming up.
All right, see you then. Thanks, Rod. This dump truck hit several cars before crashing into a Subway restaurant this morning. It happened in Seattle's Pioneer Square. 5 people got hurt. 4 of them are in the hospital in serious condition. Witnesses say the dump truck driver appeared to lose control of his rig. This noon, the building is empty after everyone had to evacuate. The New York City Police Commissioner has fired the officer accused of using a chokehold in the death of Eric Garner. This comes after years of investigations and mass protests. Police say back in 2014, officers stopped Garner on a street corner for allegedly selling cigarettes. Police say Garner, who was unarmed and black, refused to be put in handcuffs. That's when the officer, who's white, put Garner in a chokehold. Federal authorities did not charge the officer with the crime. Garner's dying words, "I can't breathe," sparked a national debate over police killings of unarmed black men. A hiker is sharing her experience and warning others just days after being rescued on Mount Shasta. Abilene Bashong and her hiking partner Duncan set out to complete a 448-mile trail. Their trip took a turn when they tried to make their way down and realized they were in the wrong area. Well, the pair decided to slide down what they thought was a steep slope of snow, and that's when things got worse.
All of a sudden, we launched into the air, and Duncan was in front of me. I was holding on to him, and then Duncan hit the ground, and I hit over him. He broke my fall.
Bashong says she continued to slide, but fortunately stopped before crashing down several ice tunnels. She managed to call 911 and a helicopter crew took her to the hospital. She's recovering with only minor injuries to her legs and her face. She's lucky. Bashong says she trained for this climb for weeks, but situations like this, just a good reminder that hikers can be tested at a moment's notice. In sports today, tough loss for the Portland Timbers at Providence Park. They took on Atlanta United yesterday in a rematch of the 2018 MLS Cup. Final score, Atlanta 2-0. After the match, midfielder Diego Chara said the Timbers would use this loss as a learning experience. Portland is still in playoff contention, holding on to the 7th place in the Western Conference. The Timbers will be back at Providence Park Friday, taking on Seattle.